What's up guys, Aroneous here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a complete guide on BUSHI. Okay, this is a champion that no one ever builds, ever, literally. I decided to build him because I kind of wanted a single target damage dealer. Now, granted, there are plenty of other really great single target damage dealer in the game that are 10 times better than him, but I don't know. I like him. He looks cool. Sometimes I just build champions because they look cool. Sometimes I build champions because they have a unique kit, and I think he got a buff in damage. But let me pull up a Yumi Love site and just see what his damage actually is. I'll be right back. All right, so I've got BUSHI pulled up here, courtesy of ayumilove.net. Shout out to that gentleman who made this account, or whoever it is that made this account, Yumi Love. Definitely check out ayumilove.net if you want to look at different champion builds, guides, things like that. But basically, it mainly goes over overviews of champions. And for BUSHI, as you can see, BUSHI, if I scroll down, he has terrible grinding, terrible stars, terrible ratings, pretty much everywhere on this guy. Doom Tower, he's just a 0 everywhere, or he's just simply not rated. BUSHI skills, okay? Rising Storm, attacks one enemy. Damage inflicted increases each time this skill is used, stacks up to 4 times. So it's 2.9 plus 0.4 for every time it's used, up to 4 times. So he has a chance of getting 1.6 additional multiplier added on to the 2.9, which is going to total out to a 4.5 multiplier on the A1, which is not terrible if he lasts a long time in a battle. So in arena, in dungeon waves, but of course, you know, obviously you'd want to have him fight it out for the long haul, not for the short game, right? However, I am going to showcase him in dungeons, and I'm going to showcase him in arena just to show you what he can actually do for damage and if he's even worth building. So the Deadly Edge though, I saw this and I was like, okay, I kind of want to build him just for this because he hits as hard as, well, not as hard, almost as hard as Knight Errant. Of course, you'd have to have good gear in general. Knight Errant's ability does hit about 50% harder, and I'll showcase Knight Errant in a second just to compare and contrast to this guy. So in this Deadly Edge ability, attacks one enemy. This attack is always critical, places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 15% increased speed buff on this champion for 3 turns. Personally, I'll show you my build. I built him with 70% crit rate because you want to make sure you're trying to get that A1 to crit as well, because if only you're depending on the Deadly Edge, then you would need to have some type of reset champion, and most people don't have like a Kymar. Of course, you can bring in a Renegade, things like that, but it just wouldn't be worth it. I think 70% crit rate is great, unless you want to just see him do crazy damage and just have 0 crit rate, like 350 crit damage and like 7 or 8k attack, then that's a different story. But again, where would you use that? So yeah, so he does have it on a 3 turn, right? The buff for the increased speed, which is a small version, 15% increased speed, but it's still increasing his own speed, which is nice. The passive he has too, which is the unique part of his kit. 5 turn cooldown, book down to a 3 turn cooldown, revives this champion with 30% HP, places an unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn. So if you build him crazy fast, he could actually be really, really good in certain areas of the game. Potentially, you know, people who have insane gear maybe could build this guy to survive, let's say, Sand Devil's Necropolis if he revives. Places an unkillable on himself. Well, yeah, places an unkillable, then doesn't die right away. If you think about it, it's maybe possible. I don't know. Maybe you have to pair him with like a Mother Sibeli. But yeah, I'm sure there's people out there that could potentially figure that one out, right? Arena, increased speed by 20%. So he's not a terrible champion early to mid game and some late game content. But based on how I'm going to use him, you do need a lot of protection. All right, so let me go ahead and showcase to you Knight Errant compared to him. All right, so we've got Knight Errant here on ayumilove.net. Knight Errant, really good on arena offense, 5 stars. And he was graded for Doom Tower as well. Not rated very well anywhere because he's single target damage dealer. Most people do not use single target damage dealers in Doom Tower unless you're utilizing Rotos for that. For example, Rotos is definitely used in a lot of areas of the game. Now coming down to his skills here, He's got the half sword, 30% chance of placing a leech for 2 turns, ignores 30% of the target's defense. That's actually a really good ability. 4.5 attack multiplier, which is the same as BUSHI, except BUSHI doesn't have 30% chance of ignoring defense. So this ability on Knight Errant automatically is going to hit harder. And then for Mordeaux, A2, attacks one enemy, 60% chance of placing a stun. The first one has a chance to place leech, by the way, which I don't really care about that. Resets the cooldowns of each this champion's skills if the target is killed. A 6 multiplier, so that's also a very strong ability. But the cool part is it resets the cooldowns of each of his skills, which is awesome. And then Death Warrant, which is his strongest ability, 60% chance of placing a weaken for 2 turns. Damage is increased to 75% by 75% if he has full HP. And it is a 7 attack multiplier, very similar to Bushi's 7 attack multiplier, right? Except this champion has an increased damage amount right here based on his skill if he has full HP, which Bushi doesn't have that in his kit. And that's why Knight Errant just outshines Bushi in general. And I could have built Knight Errant, but I just didn't want to. I wanted to build Bushi. Increase ally defense in all dungeons by 32%. It's okay, but personally, I don't like or care for his aura. Anyways, let's go back and bring you to my Bushi. I'm going to show you the build right now. All right, so here's my Bushi right here. We've got him in interesting set, right? I got him in Swift, Parry, and Cruel set. So plus 15% attack and Cruel. Ignores 5% of enemy defense. And then the Swift Parry set plus 18% speed, plus 30% crit damage, and a 50% chance to get unkillable for 1 turn when he's hit with a fatal hit. So it's very interesting, and it pairs really well with his passive ability. So if he does almost die, or potentially has a chance to survive before he even dies with a Swift Parry, and if he does die, he does get revived right away, unless for some reason somebody's bringing in a block revive champion. Now, Swift Parry is also very good at being able to stack up, right? Because of the increased crit damage of plus 30%. And because he only needs 70% crit rate, you don't need to cap him unless you're trying to do the A1 damage. But again, I just don't recommend it. I just recommend getting him to about 70 to 75% crit rate. You really only need 70%. But here's his total stats. I have him at almost 6.2k attack, which is really, really high. This is my free-to-play account, by the way, and I was able to get him in really good stats. I was able to build him out over the past couple of days for the showcase. 193 speed. I would actually like him to be faster if possible. I know some other people out there would probably build him a little bit slower, try to do more damage, but I feel like this damage, the amount of damage he has right here built in, is fine. But of course, building him in a lethal set would be way better than this set in general. I just think this set's kind of annoying. So that's kind of the build I was going for, just for him to be annoying and to survive a little bit longer potentially, so he can actually take a turn. The other reason why I would build him a little bit faster is so he can go right away with like the A1 or with his A2, and then take another turn, utilize his A1, because his A1 does hit somewhat hard, just doesn't hit nearly as hard as his A2. You could also potentially go in with the A1 first, and then he can take another turn right afterwards. And you want to make sure you're building him with support champions. So people like a Necropolis, bolster set for the shields, regular shield set if you don't have bolster set. In my case, I don't have good bolster, so I use just a shield set on a champion, and I'll showcase to you that shortly. And then of course, Duchess would pair well with him, of course, because they're going to revive. Pythion pairs well with him. Other champions that are going to help cleanse any debuffs off of him is going to pair well with him as well. But like you see in here, 76% crit rate, 278 crit damage. I think that's not too bad. That's actually pretty good. And I do have him fully booked. I decided to go with the Phantom Touch Blessing for the additional 400 attack, and then a 15% chance of inflicting bonus damage, which is really helpful for attack-based champions. And then, of course, going down here, he could gain potentially another 7 speed, and this 100% chance of inflicting bonus damage, 35% chance of inflicting a second instance of bonus damage if I get a 6-star awakening on him. And then, of course, an additional 15% crit damage is awesome too, which would end up bringing him to 293 crit damage, which is not bad. And then of course, over here for masteries, I went down with Helm Smasher on the left side, and I made sure to get Methodical to increase the damage inflicted by his default skill by 2% each time it's used during battle, and it does stack across the rounds, each round, and it adds up to 10% more damage towards the end of the rounds. So if you're adding him in dungeons, he actually does fairly well in dungeons and against waves. And then of course, Kill Streak increases the damage inflicted by 6% in arena, 3% in all other locations. For each enemy killed by this champion in battle, stacks across each round again in the battle, up to 12%. I wanted to make sure he does a lot of damage when attacking with full HP, additional 5%. You know, I did Ruthless Ambush, increased damage inflicted by 8% for the first hit on each enemy. So, and then of course I did counterattack as well with the A1, because that's going to pair really well with his A1, which again, I'll read that to you. It is damage inflicted increases each time this skill is used, and it stacks up to 4 times, which is very important because we want him to get that A1 to max out at the 4.5 multiplier. Now, the aura, again, in Arena is really nice for early and mid game. Again, I personally wouldn't use this guy all the time. He's just fun to use in general. And you'll see he does do pretty good damage. So, again, I just would prefer to use like a Rhodos, a Gala Longbraids, Knight Errant's better than him. Who else is... There's tons of other single target damage dealers that are better than him. But that's his gear. I guess I'll show you his chest plates and stuff just so... I know some people like to see that. So crit damage with attack percent, just a 1-star there. Attack percent, triple crit rate. Everything else is flat stat. Unfortunately, I was hoping for speed on the cruel piece. So room for improvement on this guy with these 3 pieces that are 5-star. I went for speed, crit rate, crit damage. Speed here. Resistance, of course, we didn't get the crit damage. It is what it is. And then triple crit rate again. And then on the boot, I went with attack percent with the crit damage, speed, and crit rate. So really good boot there as well. The top pieces here, pretty decent. Just go right across again. So there's the gear. And then the bottom pieces, I'm looking for as much attack as possible. Crit damage with attack here. And then attack with a double roll of attack with a little bit of a glyphage on each of the pieces as well. All right, so let's take him in first to Dragon. So I did utilize him in Dragon just to see what he could do for damage. I'm going to let this run full auto on Dragon and showcase to you that it's actually a somewhat decent run. So here's the team I'm utilizing. It is, because I'm free to play, it's a very free to play friendly team as well. Because Bushi, of course, yeah, he's a free to play champion if you pull him from a Sacred or an Ancient Shard. And then you've got Archmage Helmet. He can increase the crit damage on your allies and the speed and the crit rate as well. And then I did the crit rate in all battles for the lead for Bad Alcazar. Decrease defense and weaken with Lydia. Increase attack with our Arbiter. She can pick him up if he dies for some reason. And you're going to notice he actually hits fairly hard. So let's go ahead and bring him right in. And I'm going to, of course, do the whole run. And I'll get to the end. But you're going to see he's going to start ramping up in damage. So I will slow it down. 300,000 damage. Let's go. So that's his A2 ability. Big damage on the A3. And he's not in a Savage. And he's not in a lethal set. A1, 109k. That's his first time using the A1. So that's, again, just a 2.9, I believe, right now. But the more he uses the A1, the more damage he's going to do. Plus, the additional increased damage. He did get a weak hit there. But the additional increased crit damage from our Archmage Helmet is also beneficial for this guy. So you're going to see he's going to do pretty decent damage. 327k damage. Okay, not bad. Not bad. Bushi's doing some damage. 122. He's starting to scale and ramp up in his damage on the A1. That's really nice. I love that. Plus the additional damage. 133 now. One more hit on the A1, and that's going to be the maximum amount. Of course, if he's hitting with Helm Smasher as well. 215 there. No Helm Smasher proc, okay? Helm Smasher proc would have been way better. If you put Lethal or Savage on him, he's going to easily hit 400k. So 124 there, not bad. I don't know if that hit a Helm Smasher proc as well, but we're at 1 minute 20 seconds in. 215 with the A1. 215k damage with just the A1. Not bad. Weak hit there. And now we're on to the boss. Okay, what can he do to the boss? Let's see. Can he do some big damage here? This is without a crit damage, increase attack, without decreased defense, without weaken. He only did 45k there with the A2. So that's the A1 with decreased defense, poisons, which increase the damage. That's not a bad hit there. Okay, let's see if he can do some big damage though. Come on. A1, 150k damage there. Let's see if he can do the A2 soon. There it is, 268k damage to the boss. That's not bad. That's actually pretty decent damage. Let's see if he can go again. He did a counterattack, 122. Another attack, 156. That isn't bad at all. We're at 218 right now in time. Okay. Increases crit damage again. Weak hit. Okay. It's whatever. We're not even going against positive affinity dragon, of course. 217k damage. So if we're going against a different dragon, which I'm going to actually try to see if I can showcase that next. I want to see if we can go against somewhere where he's positive affinity. 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Not too terrible. He hit 1.7 million. And Bad Alcazar, second place, 1 million. So Bushi put in work. This piece right here, not that great. I'm going to go ahead and sell that. Even though it's legendary, it just doesn't have great substats there. Let's go ahead and bring him into a location where he's actually positive affinity. So he's green. This is red for the dragon. That is stage 21. Let's see what he can do to the waves as well. He might actually do better damage against the waves. So we saw 325k damage in the last one. Let's see if we can hit more damage against these waves since he'll be positive affinity. And then I'll speed forward, get to the boss. So 283k damage right there. Not bad. Of course, these waves are a lot stronger. They have higher defense. So maybe that's why he's not hitting as much damage. 99k damage. That's kind of weak, I'm going to be honest. But of course, he only used it one time so far. Let's see if we can do some damage here. Boom. 129, close to 130,000 damage. So not terrible. Let's see what we can do. Boom, 232k on the A2. So this isn't too bad. He's actually doing pretty good damage. 150, just about 150k damage. So not bad. He's actually going through fairly quickly here. Boom, 142. Almost wiped him out. Almost wiped him out. That was on the A1. Come on, let's A2 someone and kill him right now. Boom, 337,000 damage. There we go. That's big. That is big. Again, he's not in Savage. He's not in Lethal. So if he was in Lethal, he would do ridiculous damage. Probably like close to 400, maybe even 450k damage. So he can hit hard. He does have a strong A2 ability. 212k damage on the A1. Not bad. This is stage 21 or 22, I believe. And he's positive affinity. 261k damage. So now we're positive affinity against this boss, okay? Let's see how much he can do. A1, 97k. Okay, can we hit the max cap of 10%? Let's see. 206,000 on the A1. Can we hit the cap on the A2? No Savage, no Lethal. Come on, hit the cap. 329,000. So he's very, very close to the cap. I think that might be right around the cap. I could be wrong though. There's the proc as well with the blessing that I have on him. Counterattack, 106k, not bad. So he's actually doing halfway decent in my opinion. I think he's doing pretty good damage. Boom, 192k on the A1. So it's not like he's a terrible champion. He's just not somebody most endgame players such as myself would utilize in like endgame arena. A lot of people see this guy as terrible because he's not viable in arena. And honestly, I wouldn't utilize this guy if you have a good AoE damage dealer to begin with, right? So don't build him just because you see this damage, right? Build him because you want to have fun with a champion and you're just bored on your account, for example. So not bad there. We just did really good damage. 2.7 million damage from Bushi. Can you guess what Bad Alcazar got? Let's take a look here. Let me move myself out of the way. Oop, I'm moving the wrong thing. Move myself out of the way. 878 million. Bad Al is second place here. And Bushi just demolished, and I just got a new best time for stage 21 with this team, okay? Bushi demolished. New best time for dungeons. I would say Bushi is a 5-star if you gear him well in Dragon. So definitely hits hard, but again, you also need to have a decent team around him, right? So he's not gonna just do it all on his own. Could he solo content? It's possible he could. You have to have the right gear on him though. And you definitely could solo content with Bushi if you put lifesteal and regen with high damage as possible and make him as fast as possible. He could solo some content. He's not going to solo it all. I'll tell you that right now. The reason why he can is if you build him fast enough and he can take 2 to 3 turns and then take at least 1 hit. As long as he takes 3 turns, he's going to get revived with the self-revive. Now, the only issue is it's going to be very difficult because you have to build him with crazy stats to do a solo type build, which I honestly wouldn't even recommend doing it because it's going to be a waste of your time and resources. But if you do have the most insane gear ever, then you could possibly do it. The one thing that did kind of trigger me a little bit was, could he do it on like a Sand Devil's Necropolis? I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so. But you know what? Let's try it. Let's go against stage 6. And we will do this. Let's just put Bushi in. Because he's going to revive, right? He's going to revive. I wonder if he could do at least stage 6. Of course, you could always duo as well. I don't think he's going to do it. But again, he could. I'm not speed tuned at all. 35k damage. He didn't get killed. We get the counterattack. Okay. See how much we could do there. 19k. Boom. 20k. Boom, 42k. This is just stage 6, by the way. Boom, 14k. Boom, he's taken 2 turns, 3 turns. There we go. He got this 3 turns, so if he dies, he will revive. Boom, there's some damage. Okay, he hasn't died yet. And of course, you have to keep in mind, he does put the increased speed on himself, which is nice. There's 2 turns. He wakes up. There's another turn. Okay. There's the unkillable from the swift parry, so that's very lucky. Boom, he does kill him and he revives again. Takes another turn. Boom, boom. He has the increased speed on himself, by the way. Okay, so he does not survive it. He does not survive it because he's not fast enough. So this is just stage 6. Of course, it was very, very close, but not close enough, right? So I would have to build my Bushi with at least, I would say, Immortal set. So if I put him in a 2-piece Immortal set or potentially regen, maybe he could survive it, because he just has to be fast enough to take his 3 turns, and then potentially he could come back to life and keep going. But yeah, Sand Devil's Necropolis is endgame content, so that's kind of difficult to do, right? So Ice Golem, I'm not going to bring him into Ice Golem. I don't think he'd be good there because if he procs his ability, he's going to kill him. Minotaur's Labyrinth, he can do pretty good damage here. I did try him there. He does well. He can do about 150 to 250k damage to the Minotaur, so I'm not going to show you there. He's not going to be beneficial in Spider's Den. He's just not. He can hit hard, but he's just not beneficial there. Unless you want to use him as like a tank to have him get killed by the Spiderlings and then be brought back to life. So the one thing I could recommend is that you bring him into like stage 18 or, you know, potentially stage 22 where he gets targeted. But at the end of the day, it's not really someone you would waste all your resources to build, because if you have other champions that can do the job, use other champions. But if you want to try to build some sort of like pseudo tank where you bring him in and you just like slot him in somewhere, like for example, if I just slotted him in here, of course they're going to probably go after either Bushi or Fane first. If they do go for Bushi, Bushi's going to allow you to get some time to allow your team to take their turns and then hopefully kill the boss. But again, I wouldn't recommend him here. So let's just showcase what it would look like with a Fane, Cold Heart, and most people don't even have Cold Heart. So of course, why would Fane go for the A2? Why'd she do the poisons first? That's kind of interesting. Very strange that Fane did that. Didn't go for the decreased defense first. Maybe it's because she knows that Cold Heart likes to not use the Heartseeker right away. Kind of interesting. So these spiders are obviously going very slow, and I have a team that's pretty fast. And there we go. Okay, so he is getting hit a little bit, but of course we also have a good champion here in Ignatius who does the provokes as well. So he's definitely helpful. But you can see he's taking the attacks and he comes right back to life. So the goal of this spider's den would be that he takes the attacks, but then he's not being attacked anymore because the spiders are like, oh, you have unkillable? All right, I'm going to go after Fane now. But, I mean, the deed is basically done at this point. And now they're going after other champions because he has an unkillable. So it seems like 115k damage. It seems like the spiders are actually smarter than I thought. And they will go after other champions, which is weird. So he would probably have to have way less defense, way less HP for the spiderlings to keep going after him. So we did beat it. He was a okay tank there. Wasn't crazy. 340k damage he ended up getting. I should have stayed and showed you what the damage was, but I just saw it really quickly. So now let's go ahead and bring you into Arena. Obviously, I would use him in Faction Wars too, but it's not open. It's Sacred Order, which opens in 2 days. I would have loved to showcased him in Faction Wars too, but he can definitely be very beneficial for Faction Wars. For Clan Boss, I wouldn't use him in Clan Boss. Doom Tower, he can do okay damage in Doom Tower as well. Auto it in the beginning. There's the increased attack. All right, let's do the decreased defense and weaken. Perfect. Let's do poison on them to increase our damage. Poison on us to increase our damage. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to slow this down. This is the A2, Deadly Edge. We got strong affinity here. Let's go after Zavia. Boom, 228k damage. Not crazy, but it's okay. It's okay. He was doing way more damage in the stage 20, I think it was, or 22 of the dragon. So definitely more damage in dungeons. But of course, this is hard Doom Tower, so they have a lot of defense. Let's see what his A1 can do. Let's go ahead and just speed it up. There's the counterattack, 56k. So he used his A1 one time so far. Let's go ahead and auto. We should be able to do a revive here. He just revived himself. There's the increased attack back on the board. Let's see what he can do. Come on, take a turn. Boom, 74k. That's the second time he used it. So it's going to ramp up, ramp up, ramp up. Let's see what he can do on the next attack. And of course he has the unkillable, so that's kind of pretty crazy. 115k now. That was 3 attacks. One more attack, and that's going to be the maximum amount, especially if he hits a Helm Smasher proc. 195k with the A2. Let's go ahead and target this one here. Let's see if we can hit him for big damage. 119k, so that's the 4th attack. So he caps off about 119 to 160k damage with the A1 in this floor of Doom Tower. So not terrible. 127k he just did with the A1. So he's not terrible. He's actually a pretty decent champion. 62k with just no increased attack, no decreased defense on the A2. So he does need to come in with at least a bare minimum of an increased attack, in my opinion. If you don't have increased attack, he's just not going to do that much damage. Of course, that's any attack-based champion, right? You always want at least a minimum of increased attack. So he doesn't have increased attack right now, and now he does. He is provoked, so he's going to do the A1. And of course, it stacks across the rounds. So he had increased attack, but there was no decreased defense or weaken on the floor. He only hit around 40 or 50k. So that's pretty weak in my opinion. But again, it's an epic champion. He's not the strongest champion out there. But he's okay. He's just not someone that I would utilize consistently. I just wanted to build him because he seemed like an awesome champion to just mess around with. And so far, it's okay. Like, of course, we're going to be kept alive here the entire time because our Arbiter is really strong. And of course, our Bad Alcazar is strong. There's a 155k damage hit with the decreased defense, weaken, and increase attack. There's the provoke. We did 70k with the A1, and we really want our Helm Smasher to proc to do the most damage possible. I would highly suggest, though, putting a lethal set on him or a savage set, because then he'll do even more damage than what he's doing now. I just put on the gear that I have that's really good on my account and the gear that I've already had on him in general, and I have a decent amount of Swift Parry gear. 200k damage, not bad. So I think that's a good enough showcase here in Doom Tower hard. He's doing really well. We would easily be able to beat the floor. The fastest time was 422. We probably get around 6 minutes on this floor or so. All right, so let's go ahead into arena, and we're going to go into tag team arena. The reason why is because there's a bigger assortment of teams that I can face, and I do have a couple of different team setups around BUSHI. So let's go with this team first. Now, the thing with BUSHI is because he's only a single target damage dealer and he only attacks one time, I can't go against Ultimate Death Knight. That is a struggle. Okay, so I basically built a team like this. I got Duchess. Of course, most people don't have Duchess, which is totally understandable. You could bring in other support-based champions that are strong, like Pythion, for example, but Duchess is pretty powerful. He has a Duchess, but we're on par with same affinity as the Duchess over here, so we're both Spirit, so he's not going to weak hit. And then, of course, I have our wonderful Rhonda with him, she's very good. The only issue here is I don't know if we could tank the hit. All right, so here's the team. I'll go ahead in, and I'm not going to do it on full auto. I'm going to manual because sometimes the AI is very wonky, and they don't want to attack the right people. So we're going to go ahead and stun them so they can't take a turn. We didn't manage to stun the Skull Crown, which kind of stinks. We got the increased defense and weaken on the floor. Go ahead and attack here. And now we got a turn with him. She woke up, she woke up, she woke up. So we know that if there was a reaction, we're not going to have an issue there. I'm going to actually go after the Arby. Boom, 253k damage. The counterattack, 94k damage. Let's go ahead and steal that. We're going to go ahead and do this. Block the active skills. And now we can put it on full auto. So we should be good here. And he's going to go ahead and kill. Boom, with the A1, 35k damage. Not bad there. So he did do fairly decent against that team. I just really like the fact that BUSHI hits such high damage, honestly, and he's not even in a lethal set. So that's really nice about BUSHI, him hitting high damage, not even being in a lethal set. So here's a really good team. 270k team power. They could end up being faster than me, but I'm still going to utilize my Arbiter team against their Arbiter team and hope that I can go faster. If they go faster, I probably end up dying from all these damage dealers. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we can get in the lead and be able to have a decent showcase here for our BUSHI. All right, so we're definitely faster here then. Let's go ahead and stun them. There we go. Decrease defense and weaken. Boom. Woken up. Well, he did not go to sleep, I don't think. Let's go ahead and decrease his turn meter. And again, take out 259k damage, man. Oh my god. Let's take him out. Let's just take her out. A1. A1. Boom. 89k. She's in a swift parry. Okay, that's interesting. So she is dead. She must be built for really high damage. All right, we're going to bring you to the next team because I'm not going to showcase to you all of these fights. All right, so we're back here. Let's go ahead against a little bit of a tankier team. How about we go with... I guess we could try Lydia. The issue is she's going to block revive. I could try to go with a different team that's a little bit tankier. I just got to be mindful of the Ultimate Death Knights, of course. Who's got to block revive as well? There's no revive on their team, to be honest. So I have triple revive. God forbid I die for some reason, right? So I do have the swift parry as protection just in case. And we're just going to let this one run full auto and see what happens. All right, so we're on this team here. Let's see what happens in full auto mode. Let's see if they... Oh, it's not on full auto. There we go. Now it's on full auto. Okay, we remove some buffs. 183 with the A2. Okay. Krisk is definitely a powerful one there. There's no reviver on their team other than Lydia, of course. If she has that passive revive. If for some reason our champions die and we try to revive them, then she'll revive her ally. Okay, let's see what happens here. Can we do some more damage? There's the A1, 28k. We're hoping to get some counterattacks as well, which we haven't gotten yet. Okay, decreased speed on my guy as well is not great. Boom, 83k on the Lydia. Not bad. Again, he's the only damage right now. He's just built around a lot of support. He's got the increased attack, but there's no decreased defense on the floor. 75k is not bad. So as long as he has at least increased attack is going to be beneficial. And having that increased crit rate, we need that too because he didn't hit a crit there. Okay, we definitely need to hit crits. Okay, we removed everything. 39k damage. No increased attack though. If we had increased attack, then she would have been dead. That Mithrala would have been gone. Boom. Now the A1 is starting to ramp up because it's a long fight, right? This is the proper way to utilize Bushi in my opinion. As he ramps up, 65k, he's used it 4 times, right? So he ramps up in damage and now he ends up hitting harder and harder. That's no decreased defense, no weaken, just increased attack. With a team that's surrounding him, that's actually helping him succeed so he can do damage. Again, I'm not condoning you to build Bushi. I'm just saying he's a fun champion. And he never died, so he would have had a self-revive. Lydia would have ended up reviving everybody because she would have blocked his revive and revived everybody. But then I have the 3 revivers, so once Lydia goes through her passive the one time, she's not going to do it again. Let's go here. So we've got some tanky people here. Defense, defense-based, and attack-based. So let's do it. Let's go ahead and do full auto on the first fight here with Bushi. Okay, we're going to full auto this and see what happens. So there's the decreased defense. There's the increased attack. Boom, 139k with the A2. Okay, they just did a revive, of course. Let's steal those buffs. Boom with the A1, 112k damage. And I'm not so worried about this team, right? This team's actually really easy to go against for me. We've got plenty of support for Bushi. He's ramping up right now with the A1. He's going to get more damage output. Got the increased attack back on him. So he'll do even more damage. Especially against them. Ooh, 185k damage against that Tormund. Not bad. A1 weak hit, unfortunately. Got to be careful against those magic champions. Okay, there's another revive. This is a little bit of a longer fight, so he actually does fairly well against these tankier teams where if the fight prolongs, then he's going to do more damage over time on his A1, which is really helpful. But again, I'm using him in certain niche situations. So I think that's going to be it for this one though, guys. I do really appreciate everybody watching if you've watched this far. Let me know what you guys think about Bushi in the comments down below. This is probably the best showcase that you might ever see of somebody building Bushi, unless somebody builds him in a lethal set in crazy gear, even way better than what I have him in right now. I do find him to be a very fun champion to utilize, but of course, he's not the strongest single target damage dealer out there. Like I said in the beginning of the video, there's so many other champions that you should be utilizing before you utilize Bushi. But of course, if you only have Bushi, then you might as well build him and see what you can do with him. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on a video soon. Peace.